Hi!
Hi!
Welcome to
Another Film Critters.
Processes!
Processes.
I am still Baru.
I did that one a little off late, sorry. There's a little off sync on that. I'm still Jay Bearhat.
Yeah, and we're still here in Chicago for the Chicago International Film Festival.
All the way.
We're not in Chicago.
All the way. We're technically we're in the greater Illinois area. I think hold on, actually let me see. I'm just so frazzled from all this travel.
Yeah, we're jet lagged.
Let me see how do I look up my IP address? What is my IP address?
Yeah, what is my IP.com?
Oh yeah, I guess technically I am in Chicago.
Oh, cool.
Hey, I'm in that's where my legally obtained method of watching these movies. Where if you didn't listen to the Careless Crimes thing, we didn't go to Chicago.
Yeah.
But the Chicago Film Festival did come to. We brought the Chicago to us.
Exactly. Yeah, we're checking out the films that they're offering at the 56th, something like that. Chicago International Film Festival, and yeah, we're having a lot of fun. And this time, what did we watch?
It is the 56th. I just went and checked.
Oh, cool.
We watched a little Taiwanese, correct?
Yeah, from Taiwan.
A little Taiwanese film by a director that you may have heard of. The director of Straw Dogs.
Stray Dogs.
Not Straw Dogs. Stray Dogs. Literally, all day I've been like, don't make that mistake on the podcast. Remind yourself again and again that it's Stray Dogs, not Straw Dogs. Straw Dogs is the 70s film.
That would be crazy, though.
And then I just completely fucking went. Director of Straw Dogs, we're talking, of course, about, it's pronounced Tsai Ming Liang?
I'm pretty sure. Tsai Ming Liang. People, feel free to correct us. We are, we are dumb American.
Yeah, and he's also a director I've only ever read people talk about. I've never had someone to talk to me about him in person, so I have no idea how his name's pronounced. I actually had to look it up just now because I couldn't remember what it was, except that it was
yeah, something.
I'm terrible with literally any names. Directors' names are very hard for me to remember if I haven't seen 18 of their movies.
Sure.
But yeah, this is Days, and if you're familiar at all, Stray Dogs, this is again in his genre of, I've seen people calling it slow cinema.
Interesting.
Where it's sort of very I don't know how to describe it. The vibe I got when I was watching this movie was that it almost felt like a movie version of looking at old photographs and remembering the stories associated with them.
Yeah, that's a good
because there's a lot of shots that aren't really anything and are literally almost so still that Brie, you might have even seen me hovering over to see if the movie had gotten fucked up in the buffering.
Yeah.
Which isn't a knock against the film. It is a knock against the fact that there was some parts where the resolution of the film fucking dropped,
right?
Because of the stream that I was using. So I had good reason to worry that it might have stopped. But no, there's just a lot of shots. The opening of the film is 10 minutes long, and it's just the main character sitting and watching the rain.
Yeah.
Kind of looking quarter turn view away from the viewer, just out, and that's it. It's just him sitting and watching the rain. There's no dialogue. There's no credits over it. It's just that for 10 minutes.
The experience of watching this Film Critters Processes episode, I anticipate, will not be all too dissimilar from watching the actual movie.
Yeah, just take a
just with two assholes in your ear.
Yeah. This is how watching at the film theater would be like. Where is someone talking about oh, look how good this shot is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of long shots where not a lot is happening, or the action that is happening is there's a very extended sequence of the younger character just preparing food, but it has that same sort of vibe of it's framed in this very still way where it's not like there's a lot of action that's happening. You're just kind of watching him do food prep.
Yeah, for sure. And it's, I would actually kind of describe, like, once it kind of got going, so I have this classical conundrum, this sort of plague that has swept the millennial generation, known as ADHD. So the first hour I was a little bit multitasking, which is, we can kind of, chop it up about that, just how this would have been a very different experience in the theater. That being said, I might have walked out of this movie, which says something about the convenience of streaming, and how maybe it's, one isn't necessarily better than the other. They're just two different beasts. But once it kind of got going and grabbed my attention, it really reminded me of ASMR, which ASMR has kind of like an interesting, kind of deserved reputation because it's it's kind of a huge community at this point, but there's just a lot of weird shit that goes down in ASMR. But there's a lot of really cool shit that also goes down in ASMR. I'm a huge, I'm an ASMR head. I'm a fan of.
I believe they're called tinkle heads. Unfortunately,
I'm a tinkle head. I'm
double checking that right now.
But voice. Yeah, who fucking knows?
Yeah, tinkle heads. They're called tinkle heads.
I've never heard that. That's
in today. That is from today.com.
No, okay. Yeah, no, the foremost expert on everything.
Help eavesdrop. Listen, if there's any news outlet that I trust to get the real, like,
the
deep,
real
dirty secret on ASMR, the most, like, millennial stay-at-home mom with her iPad fucking thing, it's gonna be today.com.
The Today Show. Oh God, yeah, they know everything, huh? But no, I really like ASMR, and there's basically like the centerpiece of this movie is like a scene where so it presents like the sort of older character. He seems to be kind of in pain a lot. He's getting like this acupuncture and acupressure treatment.
I was gonna say it's sort of suggested that he might have some like just like getting old bone disease disorders.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of it is in his I want to say like upper back and like neck shoulders area. And I only specify this because that area is heavily eroticized in this film.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, so they basically, it kind of leads up to this like massage scene that, culminates in a gay sex scene that, kind of follows into like some more intimacy. But like basically the massage itself was relaxing just to watch, which is like, movies usually kind of embellish things. They typically add music. But I think I think something that's kind of designed to be, I don't know, sort of sensual in that way really like works on its own. Kind of the same way that like a lot of things in this movie work on their own, that it's just like showing you these things that are happening, without too much embellishment, without too much set dressing. So yeah, and it kind of gets the point a lot across a lot easier, where it's just this really sort of barefaced, like providing context for each of their individual lives, and then like what the massage, not really what it means, but like how it the way that it feels comes through a lot clearer, I guess, or the way that it's the feeling that it's trying to impart.
Yeah, no, I definitely took it as like, I think the thing that I really like is like with this minimalist style, like this sort of like slow cooker movie, basically. It feels like it takes these moments that are very disposable otherwise, and it kind of like slows them down to really make you like sit in the moment with them. If I was like an annoying Westerner person, I'd be like, it's mindfulness. It's like a mindfulness exercise. I definitely had the issue of multitasking with this film, but like this film has like, I have the opposite thing where it's like, oh man, I really wish I was seeing this in a movie, so it would like kind of force me out of that ADHD mode, because this is like the exact kind of stuff that I could just like really indulge in like a theater, like we're in an environment where like this is taking up my entire field of view, and not this is taking up like most of my field of view, but because I'm watching it on like a computer screen, it's like there are things around it no
Yeah.
matter what I do.
Yeah, and it's also streaming
Or
quality and all that.
yeah, and the streaming quality. So there's definitely parts where like the quality buffers and it kind of takes me out a little bit. Also, this is like a movie I would honestly like absolutely watch on like a date because this is like perfect cozy. Like this is a cozy movie.
Yeah, this is
Which is funny
actually
because
I
it's
totally
kind of
agree.
bittersweet. It's kind of a bittersweet film.
Yeah. It's kind of it's interesting. It doesn't really it's the focus of kind of like what it's trying to say is like very 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 small. It's just kind of um really it's just kind of like exploring in a sort of superficial way, but in also like a really it wouldn't make any fucking sense at all for me to say that it's superficial and deep at the same time, but it kind of is. Um, or rather, it takes a deep look at like superficial aspects of, you know, two men meeting and fucking and hanging out and getting food together and thinking about each other and blah 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 blah. But yeah, no, I would say that makes it like super good fodder for like a date movie or something.
I think it especially works with the whole like savoring moments that are otherwise more disposable is because it's sort of implied that it's just like a hookup,
Mm-hmm.
possibly like, or something like that, like possibly a pseudo romantic sugar daddy situation, or possibly even just like the younger person just is a sex worker.
Right, yeah.
It's very unclear, at least from my initial watch of the film, like to what extent they have like an established relationship. But he does give him a gift, which implies that he knows of him, or that this had been a ongoing or possibly like courted affair that they're having.
Yeah.
And so the thing that I really like with the film, the way it ends, is when he takes like so he gets the music box as that little gift, and that whole scene is just like they just sit and listen to the entire music box, and it's so like long and indulgent, like way more than like that kind of thing I feel like would actually go down in a
Yeah.
hookup.
Yeah,
But that's
no.
what ends up making it work so well, is because then we go to like later when he's trying to listen to the music box and he like can't really hear it, like he has to keep lifting it up to his ear because now
Yeah.
he's like out in public and like people are like walking around. Like it's one of the busiest frames in the film is just when he's trying to listen to the music box at the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that. Like that kind of feels like what the film is sort of about, is like taking these like small moments of intimacy, either like yourself individually or with another person, and like savoring them and then like remembering them as like much longer and much like more in depth than they probably actually were, but because you're looking back on them in your modern overstimulated thing, which is why it's like, to me, it's like, as someone who also very likely has ADHD, I would love to watch this in a theater because it would force me to pay attention to it.
Yeah, no, that's the strength of the movie, I feel like, is the distinction that it draws between the kind of outer and inner lives, because um kind of part of why I struggled a little bit with the first half of the movie is that it has some uh it has a pretty heavy focus early in the movie on their sort of routines and the things that they do in private, and then it kind of transfers to these scenes of like them interacting with society. Like the older gentleman is like getting this acupressure treatment, and he's walking through the town, and like it's super busy, it's loud, there's a lot of people. um so it functions really well as a kind of contrasting piece to what follows, which is like all these really sort of like tender internal moments, and and the movie kind of quiets down as it goes along. uh yeah, I think that if I were to see it in the theater, those distinctions would be like really really highlighted, because some of those parts are really overwhelming, and those you know when they're in public, it's kind of I don't want to say it's like dicey or bad or anything, but it's just kind of loud and really hyper-stimulating.
Yeah, no, I totally. I'm actually also. I'm looking. I looked it up a little bit, and apparently, the film was originally before the whole COVID-19 thing was going to be shown at the Museum of Modern Art for its U.S. premiere.
Cool.
And I'm thinking, how cool a movie like this would be to watch at a museum.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like that's like the perfect environment to just be like, okay, turn brain down now. Now you watch art.
Yeah. If I were, I think that's actually the proper way to, because like, I mean, it's barely, I don't mean this as an insult, because I think it would be more of an insult if I were to, it feels almost more like an insult if I were to call this a movie. Because it's like barely a movie. It's basically, it's like life. It's like a fictional documentary. It's like it's this kind of modern art performance thing. It doesn't feel, structurally too similar to what most people would call a movie, which is kind of what um made me a little bit unprepared for it when I went into it. But if I were walking into a museum to watch this, I think I would have been properly calibrated.
I think I got lucky knowing in, because like before we started it, I noticed on the page that on like Chicago's thing, it was like language. I forget if it just said none or something, but like it's like not irrelevant or something, and then it was like no dialogue.
Yeah,
and there is a little bit of dialogue, but like not enough for there to be subtitles. And apparently, it's very much so. Was like directorial intent that there are no subtitles in the film.
Yeah,
which I feel like isn't necessarily in the sort of the old, there's like that old Chicana feminist book Borderlands, where there are some parts of it that are in Spanish that are not translated, and it's like very much so just like, do not translate these parts of the book. Like, this part is supposed to be like, if you encounter this and can't understand it, like that is my intent in this book. And that's kind of like what it feels like. It feels a lot less like that's sort of the intent here in Days, and it's more that like, no, I don't want subtitles because subtitles would like visually impose on the scene, and like the dialogue ultimately isn't really relevant. Like it definitely feels like a film where sound design is a major part of it, but like actual verbal communication isn't.
Right.
It's all about the visuals, and it's all about the sounds you are getting. And I think in that like way, like you said, like ASMR is like a great thing, because like it doesn't really matter what they're saying. It's the tone of what they're saying gets across like what the meaning you're supposed to be getting out of these scenes are. Because the only scene I could think of with like extensive dialogue is when he's getting acupuncture and like something about it isn't working correctly, is kind of like the gist you get of the scene, and they're trying to figure out like why it's not working or like why it hurts.
I think it was like some of the ash was like falling onto his skin or something, and he was getting like burnt or something like that. That was the impression that I was getting. But yeah, like Jay says, it's like not super important to understand every word.
Which in that scene, by the way, very funny, because it's very, very clear that that scene has the most cuts in it. Like the shots still hold on, but like it's not like one shot of him undergoing this weird like electrified acupuncture thing and it holds. It cuts multiple times, and even though it's like there's still decently long shots, I noticed that was like the fastest series of cuts in the whole movie, which I immediately unfortunately had the sort of fourth wall break moment of like, oh, that's probably because it kept the actor was like, I can't sit here for like 5 minutes with these in it. So they probably had to keep resetting the shots, which is why it keeps having to jump to different angles in order to see it.
Oh God. Yeah, that
because like that's the only reason I can think of that it keeps jumping in cuts, because it doesn't feel like the different angles are necessarily like adding anything to it. And like I said, it's like the fastest paced series of cuts in the film. And I guess that ends up working, because it ends up giving you the sense of like, wow, this must hurt a lot.
Yeah.
But it definitely made me realize that, because of the fact that I'm like, well, they definitely had to do this because they couldn't hold it for one take.
That whole sequence is kind of gruesome in a way. I mean, like it's not I don't think acupressure are like weird. It's fine, but like to be at that point, like it provides so much context of just like to be at that point of like back and neck pain, um, where you're getting like ash dripped on you and you're having someone push like a plastic implement so hard into your shoulder that your like shoulder and upper back are turning purple.
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
no, it is like very extensive acupuncture that he's undergoing in the scene with like a lot of like things. You can see needles like twitching from the
yeah,
muscles a lot in that scene.
yeah, it's like electroshock acupuncture or something.
Yeah,
It's
it's very it gets as close as you can get to like an unpleasant surgery scene without actually being surgery, basically.
yeah. But then it serves so well to give context and also contrast to uh the like central massage scene, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just a really it's just really elegant storytelling. It's really no frills. It's kind of what movies are kind of made and designed to do. Which I really appreciate this style. He's described as like the second, or the director is described as being part of this like second new wave of cinema in Taiwan. Um, for that kind of style. Uh, and as much as my attention kind of suffered a little bit, I think that like the whole like show don't tell doctrine of cinema has been kind of lost in American movies largely. I hope it's fair to say. Uh,
No, yeah, there's even in indie cinema, for like a way to put it, there's
mm,
definitely the like bombastic spectacle has really
yeah.
dripped into American cinema as a whole, which to interesting and also tragically boring effect.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that people kind of think that like that's how you hold an audience's attention, or they kind of come under the impression that like the talking and the story is what's going to hold people's attention, when largely it just kind of it's a cinema that kind of devalues itself, uh whereas it's practically more interesting to just kind of find value in moments that are smaller, or things that are uh kind of self-explanatory, but build up to something that's bigger than itself, in the way that Days, I feel, does. um you know
Yeah,
that's
no,
that's how I
absolutely.
feel.
It kind of inverts what has become the sort of, for lack of a way to put it, hegemonic film standard, where it's like every movie needs to have things constantly happening and going. There's the far end is like Bayhem stuff, but even in like smaller stuff, it's still just like you need a full plot arc, and you need to have all these things. You need to have major conflict, and then
Yeah.
this film is just like two guys wake up and they go about their day, and then they have sex, and then they disappear back into the rest of the world.
Yeah. And like the thing also, I mean, like, I know that it's 20 fucking 20, and no one, and like scarcely few people need convincing, but I do think that this is like a really great case of I guess representation or whatever. I mean, like, I know that people's objections to homosexuality are not rooted in any sort of functional like mind or anything like that, but I mean, like, it really just makes a case for like, yeah, this is, I don't know. It's the sort of no frills aspect of it. It's like it's not trying to defend itself, or there's like no, there's nothing to defend itself against. It's just this uh really sort of base level, like, beautiful sort of progressing uh portrayal of people's days, which, name a the movie. Uh but yeah, I don't know. That's kind of a, not to over politicize it, because the movie kind of, I mean, like, it is certainly exists in like a hyper political context, and I'd be interested to see some Taiwanese critiques of it, but yeah, I don't know. I just think the sort of tone really lends itself to the movie's ability to present itself.
Yeah. No, I totally see what you mean. Where it's like it's the like the it's is tone the right word? Atmosphere. It's so weird
Yeah.
to like apply like regular like film like language to this, honestly. So I'm like, I feel like I don't want to say ambiance because it sounds like I'm talking about an Olive Garden. But like again, it's like it doesn't quite fit so much as a film. It feels like a weird like film art piece is the
hmm
best way to describe it, which I really like. I think that makes it a really interesting film. Um, and I like I like that the film feels like a essentially a series of photographs that are animated.
Yeah.
Does the camera even really move much during the sex scene? I'm
I
trying to
don't think
remember if
there's.
there's any panning.
I don't remember there being any panning in the movie at all.
Yeah, I feel like there's always just like a cut to a closer shot if there's any kind of movement, but it's never
hmm
like it's never like the camera is like moving over the characters. Because I distinctly remember during the sex scene they kind of like move off camera almost.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
they. So during like the full body massage when he's like laying on his stomach, the camera's further out, and then it cuts to a shot that's like pulled in further. But I
yeah,
think that's just like a harsh cut. I don't remember any. I don't remember any camera movement during that part.
very interesting style of film editing. I really like it.
Yeah.
It's a dense film visually, but unfortunately, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yeah. It's
And there's like 5 pictures in this whole movie.
yeah, I would just really say, and I think that we can kind of forego our usual, because we actually, for Careless Crime, we kind of like forgot to do our rating scheme, which is, fucking who cares? But like, that's kind of also like our usual sort of like, what would I rather have spent my money on kind of rating scheme is like kind of not applicable to this movie, just
Yeah, and
because it's,
it feels weird doing it for film festival stuff too,
yeah, yeah,
because you kind of buy
absolutely.
it all in a bundle rather than like individually.
Because like this is just a really enriching like experience, and it's I have this thing where growing up I always used to like bike around a lot. I was on my bike like almost all the time, and I would like look at people's houses, and I would be just like really interested to like s- you know not in any like real actionable or practical way, but like I would be like, huh, I want I really wish I could see into this house. I wish I could see into these people's lives. um, and this movie is the most kind of no frills way to do that. It's just like a presentation of some lives and some experiences that are fictionalized, but nonetheless really interesting. Um, so yeah, like without saying too much more about it, all I can say is just like yeah, check it out. Just whenever it's available to you as a potential viewer. And try not
Yeah,
to think of it
it's
too much as a movie because it's kind of that's because it's words description kind of doesn't do it justice, I feel like.
yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. Is it really is a film you kind of have to like watch to get, because like you could literally summarize the film in like a minute.
Yeah.
Like, but it's
And
like
describe in detail what happens, and that's yeah, no, just
to
like
to
super
tie it into
quick.
like the art thing. It's kind of like with a lot of modern art where it's like people are like, oh look, it's just these like color bars and whatnot, and it's like yeah, like if you just look at a picture of it, that's what it is. But you're kind of supposed to see this in real life where it's like 10 feet tall. And like there's a lot of like rich detail to that color that like you can't really see, and like maybe you still won't like it, but it's like you're not getting the same thing looking at a compressed Twitter JPEG as you are looking at the actual movie or
Right,
looking at the
right.
actual painting. And similarly, it's kind of hard to describe this film because it is so much just about sitting with these extended moments and these extended visuals, watching a man watch the rain for 10 minutes and just kind of like reading his face over and over to get a sense of where he's thinking.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's highly recommended from the Film Critters crew. And
Yeah.
thank you to the Chicago International Film Festival for allowing us to view it
by going there with our cheap plane tickets. No, check it out because it honestly, I've been seeing it make the rounds at a lot of film festivals, so it's probably going to come to one, air quotes, near you on a webpage near you.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that kind of closes the calendar on days. If you know what I'm saying there.
I don't explain.
Okay, I will. I will not.
This is kind of a quick one.
Yeah.
But we got like what, one, maybe two more.
Yeah, we got a couple more that we're gonna check out as a unit, and then maybe if we do our own extracurriculars, because we're both kind of chipping through a few of the movies that the film festival has to offer
that we wanted to kind of watch, not independently, but just like we didn't want to pay for 16 films a piece to do this because we both had our own selection of movies that we wanted to watch.
Yeah,
but maybe we'll do a bonus where we both just talk about the other movies we watched to each other.
Yeah, for sure. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And the Throws It Back for Plan 9 will be up shortly. If you haven't watched the stream, it did save to our YouTube channel. So you can feel free to check that out if you wish. That was a lot of fun. We hope to do it again soon. And join the Discord. The link will be right below.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to promote the Discord now. But we got a Discord. Come hang out.
Yeah, it's super popping off. It's we're having a lot of fun. Everyone's super cool. So if you want to meet cool people, these are the only cool people in the world, are the people who use our Discord. And
if you join, you become cool.
Yeah, absolutely. This is how this works. Yeah. So thanks for listening. Jay, got anything else for the folks at home? Next month our Throws It Back theme, because I think it should be up by the time this is out, is going to be teen girl angst. So we're looking at mostly 2000s teen girl angst movies, and you can vote on that. That was actually inspired by House of Hummingbird and Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always, both movies that we watched this year. Yeah, which were some of our favorite movies of the year, actually. It turns out that that's a really good like genre of film.
Yeah, no, it made me realize how much there's like not enough movies that get into just like not girls' lives in the annoying like teen Vogue way where it's like, what are girls thinking about? But just the sense of like, oh, teen girls, they have interiority too, and sometimes they deal with the same problems that you or I, assuming in this sentence that I am a man talking to another man, have.
Right.
Because the subjective male gaze affects all of us, and as such, any anecdote must be told from that perspective.
It's true. That'll be super fun. So if you're a patron, which if you are, we love you, and if you aren't, we still love you, but it's complicated. But
we like you. We like you.
Yeah, exactly. But you can go vote in that when that goes up very, very soon. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
I am still Baru.
I've become Jay Bear Hat. This is Film Critters.
Yeah, it is. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.